Hello, welcome back to Cracking the Cryptic, and today's video is a puzzle by Rocky Roa, who always delivers, frankly, like the mailman. It's always good stuff from Rocky Roa. This puzzle has been recommended to us. It's called Sandwich Counts, and it's sandwich Sudoku with a very interesting rule for the circles, which count the number of cells in sandwiches in their row and column. Okay, I'm going to invite you to be careful. If you were planning to play the puzzle immediately, I'd say watch the rules section that I do just before starting the puzzle. There'll be a chapter timer under the video. But I might be making a mistake there and inviting you to watch a very confused man not understand something, but we'll see. I think I have understood that rule. Now, firstly, let me trail the Planet Suite, the collection of puzzles that is the Patreon reward this month. All variant Sudokus. The last one requires a bit of lateral thinking to combine the previous 5 to get to the final solution. And we are getting some great facts through about the planets, which Simon's covering every day. It's really interesting. It's a very... I don't know, it's touched a bit of a chord amongst some of you. That's great. And we're very pleased with the response. So thank you, anybody who's had a go. Thank you, anybody who's joined us on Patreon and not had a go. Thank you, anybody who's ever contributed to our Patreon. We are grateful, especially to the $20 a month people who we feature in the card at the start of the video. That's really kind. Now, where else can we go? We can look at our apps, which we have, of course, have a Sandwich Sudoku app. That was our very first one, and plenty of others. And there's also Sven's Sudoku Pad, the merchandise, the catalogue of our videos, the credits to the people who've created the music we use, and including Mozart, and etc., etc. All on the links under the video. But the first link is to this puzzle, and I will now try and explain the rules fully. So, normal Sudoku rules apply. We're putting 1 to 9 in every row, column, and box. That's what that means. A number outside the grid indicates the sum of the digits in the cells sandwiched between the 1 and the 9 in its column. So, 15 in this column. So, for instance, it might have a sequence of digits like this somewhere in it. So between the 1 and the 9, the sandwich digits are adding up to 15. So that is how the sandwich clues outside the grid work. A number in a circled cell indicates the total number of cells sandwiched between the 1s and the 9s in the row and the column containing the circle. If a cell is simultaneously in a row sandwich and column sandwich, it's only counted once. Not all circles are necessarily given. So, the way I look at that is, let's look at, okay, the circled cell I'm looking at firstly is this one. If we had a 1, oops, didn't mean to make that blue. If we had 1s and 9s like that in the column, now I think the number in this circled cell would be those 5 are the number of sandwich cells in the row. Those 3 are the number of sandwich cells in the column. That would be an 8. Now the slightly confusing situation is where those sandwich counts can cross. Do they have to cross at the circle? Yes, they do. I think they do. This is where I was a bit confused. So let's, instead of that one, consider this circle. And if we had the 1 and the 9 there, then I think we're adding those 3 cells and those other 3 cells in that row. So this isn't a 7, this is a 6. And I think the crossing point will always be, in the case where a cell is simultaneously in a row sandwich and a column sandwich, I think it is that cell itself that is the one counted once, the one in the circle. I can't imagine a situation in which a circle is counting some other cell in the grid twice. Yes, okay. So that number would be a 6 there, because we'd be adding up those, we'd be counting those 6 cells. So that's how the rule works. I mean, I think we will understand it as we go along. It's not one we've seen before, so let's be careful getting our heads around it as we go. But that is the rule. Do give it a try. Always fun with Rocky Rower, as I said. Let's get cracking. Right. Okay, there is a secret. There is a secret I can tell you about a Sudoku puzzle. And that is that every row, column, and box adds up to the same total. And that total is 45. Okay? So don't share that with everybody. The enemy don't need to know. But in this column, which adds up to 45, the sandwiched cells add up to 30. They might be there, for instance. The 1 and 9 that sandwich them, the crusts, add up to 10, and that makes 40. So the outies, the numbers that are outside the sandwich, add up to 5, and that makes them either a single 5 or a 2 and a 3, and those are the only possibilities. And I was thinking of writing 2, 3 or 5 into this cell, but okay, of course. Right, the number of cells being sandwiched in this row is going to be 5 or 6. That is how the 30 sum works. That's why there's only 1 or 2 outies. So this count, even if there are no cells sandwiched in row 1, and 0 is a possible count in a row, because the 1 and the 9 could be next to each other, this is going to be at least a 5. Now, based on the idea that this cell in the column can only be an outie or a crust, it can only be a 5 or a 9 at this point. It can't be a 1 crust, because that won't allow this count, and it can't be a 2 or a 3 outie. So we haven't actually learnt much else about the row. Okay, to tell you what else we have learned. Those, actually, you know, only those 3 cells can be coloured green as non-crust definite. Now, if it was a 9, that has an implication for the row. If it was a 9, what happens in the row? Then we have 5 or 6 cells counted in this column, and then we have 3 or 4 cells to sandwich in the row. Okay, maybe let's think about if it's a 5. Then there are no, this doesn't work. If it's a 5, there are 5 cells in the sandwich, but then in this column, there are 5 cells in the sandwich, there are 2 crust cells, we're up to 7. There are meant to be 2 outies, but if this was a 5, there would only be 1. So the count wouldn't, I'm familiar with not being able to count to 45 in the column, proving it's wrong. But this time we can't count to 9 cells in the column, and that proves it's wrong, which is a bit weird. So this isn't a 5. This is a 9. That is a crust. We're away. Okay, so we don't know whether there are 5 or 6 cells sandwiched. We do know that it's one of those numbers. And there's a 1 down here somewhere. We also know that there are now 3 or 4 sandwich cells in this row. So I'm going to green all of those and say there's a 1 in one of those 2 cells. And the next thing I'm going to consider is whether this can be a 1 in the circle. And I have to try and work out what the rule means. Oh, we don't have... Oh, no, yeah, no, that's nonsense. It can't be a 1 in the circle because there's already at least 3 cells sandwiched. I'm sorry. I am a very confused man who's taking this rule. I have to really think about it every time. Right. Now, whatever number this is in the circle is at least a 4 in this row, from this row. Now, there may be more, in fact, there will be more cells sandwiched in the column to give a 21 total. And there must be at least 3 of them. So this is up to at least 7. Oh, and it can't be 7 because the 3 sandwiched cells, if it was a 7 here in the column, would have to be 8, 7, 6. And that 7 is clearly not in the sandwich. It's outside it. So that is an 8. And now That means there are 4 sandwiched cells somewhere in the row. I think these 2 must be included, yes. And the 4 sandwich cells add up to 21 without using an 8. So they would be, yeah, they would be 7, 6, 5, 3. That's the only way you can do it. So these cells are from 3, 5, 6, 7. There are 4 sandwiched cells. I was wondering if one of these 2 has to be one. I don't think that's the case. The other outies in the column will be 2 and 4. Yeah, I don't think I've got any more to go on there, but we have hit another circle. And we know that this circle will be counting the sandwiched cells in the column first, which is 4, so that's not a 3. And then it will be counting the sandwiched cells in the row, which must now be 1, 2, or 3 extras. Now we don't get a row total this time. I don't know how to deal with that, because you could sandwich a cell between crusts there, and that would make this a 5. I don't think it would tell me anything. Or you could sandwich another cell there amongst crusts here and here. Okay, that hasn't really added to the sum of human knowledge. Now, this is at least a 4, because it's already counting 4 in the row. I know... Oh, this is an outie in this column, 2, 3, or 5. I was going to say I know the contents of this sandwich. I don't actually know the contents of this sandwich because I don't know quite what the outies are. And this 15 thing, I don't know anything about it at all. Ah, this circle as well. Right, this is counting the 4 in the row, in the column. And it can't... Okay. Could it be that crust, which would have to be a 9 because it's already counting 4? No, it couldn't. It couldn't. That's lovely. If this was a 9 crust like that, it would be counting 4 in the column of sandwich cells. It would then have to count 5 in the row. But with a crust here, that cannot happen. So it is not a 9. And it's not 7, 6, 5, and 3, which go in the crust, and it's not 8. It must be a 4. And in this, that's weird. In this row, all I know about the sandwich is that there are no cells in it. The 1 and 9 are next to each other somewhere here. Okay, that tells me one thing. They can't be there and there because there's a 1 in one of those 2 cells. So that's green. It may not tell me any more than that, but now I've found one of the outies. So one of these, yes, one of these is a crust. And the 4 sandwich cells must now include that one, and now one of these is the upper crust. That's the first time I've had the chance to use that phrase in a Sudoku context. And then one of these is a 1, the lower crust, which is not a phrase from social politics. That one and that one form an X-wing, and there must be a 1 in one of these 3 cells. And now, what did we learn? We learned that from that 4, that 1 and 9 were next to each other in this row. Well, they're not in these cells anymore. That's not possible. And 9 could be, well, it could be anywhere here. That's really freaky. Now, this is going to be counting 0 in its row. It can't count a sandwich of 9 cells in its column, so this is not a 9. So 9 in the row is somewhere in those. Doesn't mean this can't be a 1. How many is it counting in the column? I don't think there's any way to know. Well, I mean, it's got to be a digit, so there must be at least... Oh, how many can you sandwich in this column? If that was a 1, well, then you could sandwich up to 6 cells. But that wouldn't be... That count would be wrong then. So if it's not a crust, the closest the crusts can be is there. The most you can count is 5 cells. I think this has to be, I was going to say it has to be 2, 3 or 5, but can it be a 1? No, because yes, it can actually. We're counting 0 cells in the row of sandwich. We would need 1 in, okay, if that was a 1, we'd need 1 sandwich cell in the column, which would be there. This would be a 9. The other 9 in the bottom row would be there. Can that be a 9? No, because it would be counting 1 sandwiched cell in the column. Oh, it's so weird this, but it's clever. And it couldn't be counting more than 5 in the row. So that could never be a 9 in another circle there. So that is not a 1. So that is not a 1 or a 9. And therefore this can't be. That's so weird. Now this is definitely a 1-9 pair. And I can colour them both red. Everything in their row and box goes green with envy, because they all want to be the crust. Now in this column, 15 is the sandwich sum. We've got no circle there. That could be just 2 cells, an 8 and a 7, or it could be as many as 4. But the crust can't be any higher than that. So even the upper crust must be in one of those 3 cells. Now, this is going to count 2, 3 or 4 in the column and a random number in the row. This one, oh, we don't, okay, maybe I know more about this. The most this can count as a sandwich is 3 now. So by Sudoku, that now has to be a 2 or a 3. And that cell has to be in that 2 or 3 sandwich, which is a bit strange. So sometimes you'll find me talking about a 2 or 3 sandwich. That's a count of the sandwich cells. Sometimes, no doubt, I've been talking about a 15 sandwich, which is a sum of the sandwich cells. And I'm sorry if those bits of terminology are running into each other, but this is a confusing puzzle to me. But it's working very nicely so far. Now, we learned that it was definitely 4 in the top row, so it's definitely a count of 5 down there, and that's a 1. I didn't need to do X-wings at all once I got that as the sandwich clue. As the crust. My brain just won't let me talk about this stuff normally. Right. Now, what's this going to do with that 1? Don't know. It's going to be either 1, 2, or 4 cells in the row, plus whatever number that is. Oh, yeah, I mean, I can just add these numbers, can't I? What I'm talking about there is in columns and rows with multiple circles. In this row, for instance, 4 is the minimum, because that's the count of green cell of, oh, well, there we go. There's another 9 placed. Since I've got that 4, I know we're looking at 4 here. In fact, since I got that 8, I knew it was. So as soon as I only just placed this 1. Okay, that's why I can do that now. Hasn't been waiting for ages. Now, these are 3, 5, 6, 7. Sorry, what I was saying was, in columns with multiple circles, for instance, there is a kind of base number, which is the number of sandwich cells in that column. And then the rows, they're going to have to differ in terms of spacing of their crusts. So this row has 0, so we add 0 to 4 to get 4. This row is going to have 1, 2, or 3 sandwich cells extra. This one had 4, so it became an 8. So in a column like this, there is going to be, well, this is going to be the basic number of the count of sandwich cells in this column, because there's 0 in its row. This is going to have some cells in its row sandwich, so that's not a 9. So that it's not the same number as that. And this is going to have some cells in its row sandwiched. Oh, I've just noticed I can green all those in box 2. And since this is going to have some cells in its row sandwiched, that must include these 3. So this now has to be at least a 5. I'm going to include 9 as a possibility just because I'm not sure it's not. No, it's not, because the maximum, if that was a 9, is 4 here and 3 there. So it's not a 9. So it's green. Oh, it might be useful. It is useful. I can place a 9 in row 2. Yeah, I'm tackling this puzzle in a very weird fashion. That 9 fixes the 1 and the 9 down here. Now there's going to be a 1 in those cells, and the 1 in column 3 is there, and that's red. And we can green all those. Now it's 2 or 3. There's a 9 in one of those cells. I don't think I know which one yet. This is now adding to the 2 or 3 down there, at least 4, maybe 5 here. So it can't be a 5 anymore. This one is counting 2, 3 or 4 cells in its column. Oh no, 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 no. It's also adding some cells in its row. Yeah, calm down. So this one was getting 4 in its row. Ooh, one of these is a 1. I don't know how many it's getting in its column. There's a 1 somewhere here. Now what about this? Don't really know. 9s in the bottom rows? No. What cell should I be looking at next? Probably one of the circles that I haven't considered. Right. Yeah, these are all green. And this is counting 6 in its column. How many in its row? Either 0, 1 or 2. This is counting 2 or 3 in its column. A maximum of 4 in its row, so it can't go more than 7, and it has to be more than this one. Ew, I'm not really getting at this. What about this? Okay. There's a 1 in one of those cells, and there's a 9 in one of those. So the maximum it can get from the column is 4. No, is 3. Those 3 could be sandwiched. And it's not going to be those 3, because this would be a 9. No, it's possible. Yeah, no, but then that 9 would give the wrong total. So the maximum in the column is now... In fact, does that mean this can't be red? Yes, we can't get a 9 in here. Yeah, okay, that's not red. So now the maximum this is counting in the column is 2. The maximum in the row is 2. The maximum this can be is a 4. And it's not a 4. It's 2 or 3. This one is counting a maximum of 2 in the column. But I suppose that you could have 6 cells sandwiched in the row, and that could be quite a different number. Oh look, that's a 2 by Sudoku. Hadn't spotted that. Just to complete the column. Stormtrooper scanning on the I-wing there. But I'm not really doing a lot of scanning at the moment in this puzzle, as may be painfully obvious. I'm trying to work out how the rule is working, and it's really interesting. So this is getting at least 4 in the row, and at least 2 in the column. That is at least a 6. If it was only 2 in the column, if it was a 6, that would be a 7-8 pair, and you'd have 1s in both of those cells. Seems possible. If this was a 6, it doesn't really say much. Why can't it be a 5? with crusts there and there. Oh, because this is a 2 or a 3 in this column, that's why. Oh, and that means this is green, doesn't it? If this is a 2 or a 3 in the column. Yeah, it does. That's green. This is a 2. That's a 9. Yeah, we're away here. Okay. I think this might get quite a bit going. I'd say that very prematurely, no doubt. But the count in the column is now 2. This is either a 6 or a 7, depending on how many in the row. This is counting 2 in the column and either 1, 2, or 4 in the row. 2 plus 1, 2, or 4 gives 3, 4, or 6. No, this isn't. This wasn't the point of collapse of this puzzle at all. Now we've got this 9 though, so this is counting 4 in the column. It can't be counting 1 in the row, or that would have to be red. Oh no, hang on. It would be counting 1 extra. Right, this is the circle, or a circle, that is being counted twice, because it must now be in the sandwich, because this number isn't 4. So that's green. And now we're up to 5 cells. If that's 5, we get a 1 here. If it's 6, we get a 1 here, and a 7 puts a 1 there. I don't think I can actually resolve that yet. Hey, it's very interesting, this. And I'm not doing brilliantly, I know that. 6 there. Now, where are the crusts in the row? Don't know. Can I do Sudoku on this yet? No, I really don't think I can. I mean, this could still be 2, 3, 4, 6 in those cells as far as I can see. Or various sums adding to 15, or an 8, 7 pair there. I really, annoyingly. Oh, the 30 thing. This is a 2 and 3 pair down here. Dude, it's not. Okay, it's not the special rule. It's not Sudoku. I should have been doing sandwich. That's what I should have been doing. Enjoying a sandwich. Right, one of those is a 3. That's not a 3. I got a 3 in the corner. I did notice the party happening. I just didn't have time to focus on it. Now, this 3 in a circle, is that useful? It is, yes. Because the 3 can't be sandwiched in the column. That's a maximum of 2. So there is at least 1 sandwiched in the row, and that 1 would be this 3 itself. So the 9 in the row has to be there. This goes green. I mean, I'm happy with these little victories, I have to tell you. Oh, and this has got interesting now, because one of these has to be a 9 by Sudoku, so that's gone green. We've got a count of 2 in the column and at least, well, 2 or 4 in the row, so that has become 4 or 6. And the 3 in the row, Sudoku again, has to be in one of those spots. This one was counting 5, 6, or 7, depending on where one goes. I should really colour in. I suppose once I've filled in a digit, I know what's happened in the row and column, so that resolves it. I don't need to colour anymore. This one, 2 plus 4 is 6. Still don't know whether that's 6 or 7. This one is counting those 4 or 5 and some number in the column. This was a 3, so maximum of 2 in the row. So there is separation in the column. The 1 and the 9 aren't next to each other. So this is not a 9. So the 9 in the column is in one of those cells. And that doesn't actually tell me anything about where the 1 goes. That's really annoying. There's some count I'm just missing, isn't there? I don't know Although this one, I don't think it's obvious. How am I meant to do this, Rocky? 2. Right, this pair is a 2-9 pair. That's weird. I don't know why, it just feels it. Now, if that's a 9, this is a 4. If that's a 9, this is a 6. How does this work? There's some combination that just won't work if it goes together. I don't know what it is though. I'm sorry if you can see it. Okay, I'm just going to do some pencil marking. 5, 6, 7, 8 there. This is 5, 6, 7 or 8. This can't help. 3 up here. I don't see how that helps. 3, 5, 6, 7. One of these is a 3. Again. Oh, this. I haven't looked at that in a while. It's counting 4 in the top row. I don't feel I have any clue where its crusts are, but it must be adding either 0, 1, 2 or 3. All I can see that that's telling me at the moment is that those two aren't both crusts. And that is not interesting information. Oh, the 1 in this row can't be... Oh, maybe it could be there. I haven't even thought about that. This could be a 5 if there was a 1 there in row 6. I hope that hasn't influenced my logic anywhere in an incorrect way. But I certainly don't think I thought of that in the right way. These are 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We're not getting close to a quintuple in row 2. I'm not pencil marking that. Yeah, I've suddenly gone to a feeling of maybe there's almost not enough information to disambiguate all the digits. It's really all about the sandwich totals to do that, isn't it? Okay, come on, think it through, Mark. If this was a 4-cell sum, we'd have 2, 3, 4, 6 there, and a 1 here. Is it this circle? I haven't really thought about this. This is getting 1 or 2 from the column. Oh, this can't be a 9. Oh, that's vital. It's getting 1 or 2 from the column. If it was a 9, there'd be a maximum of 4 in the row. So we have worked out where 9 goes in this column, and it's here. So 1 can't be next to it. That's become a 2. The 9 is red. The 2 is green. That's green because this 3 is going to require us to count at least that cell. Okay, this must do something. There's a 9 in one of those. Now, can that be a 1? No, because it would already be counting 2 in the column. So that is not a 1. This is a 1. And that is counting 1 in the column and an unspecified number in the row. But this is not a 1 now. This is counting 6 in the column and then 0, 1 or 2 in the row. So where is 9 going to be? It could be there for 0, there for... Can't be counting 2 in the row. Still haven't resolved columns 7 and 8 at all. This is not a 9 though, that's green, and it's counting 1 in the column and how many in the row? Very hard to know. Not, well, I mean there are numbers this can't be, like 3, but that's not very informative on its own. This is counting 6 in the column and a maximum of 1 in the row. Yes, that's how we got it to 6 or 7. Right, this is now not a 3-cell sum. That's quite interesting. It is either 2, 3, 4, 6 here, in which case that is an 8, and that is a 1. Or an 8-7 pair here, which gives us a 1 here. Then that's counting 2 in the row and either 6 or 7 in the column. Ah, that would be the same as that if this had a count of 2. Because they'd both be counting the same number in row 2, and this is counting 2 in column 3. So this can't be counting 2 in column 1, or they'd be the same number. Wow, that is an intriguing step. So there's the 1. This is green. This is not a 1. Indeed, this group is 2, 3, 4, 6 now to make the 15 sum. They can't be 2. We've got 5, 7, 8 up at the top. This one has now become 8, in fact, and that's red to make that 8 count work. That's the 1. This is green. Now, I did work out that these couldn't both be red because of that number. So this is green, not a 9. This is red and is a 9. Ah, this is a 1. That's just Sudoku, last one in the grid. I've got 2 more 9s left to put in. Gosh, that's so interesting. So clever. Really, really entertaining. That's a 3, 4, 6 triple, weirdly. In fact, 3 in this row now has to be here. So I can take 3 out of a couple of cells in different ways. That's a 5, 7, 8 triple was what I was actually planning to build up to there. Those aren't 8s. They're a 5, 7 pair. So that's become a 6. Oh, yes, that count is correct. I could have done that by the count. Now, this is still not resolved. It could be 6 or 7. This is resolved. 2 in the column, 2 in the row. That's a 4. That's a 6. That didn't fix this, which I was hoping it would. This is resolved. It's counting those cells, which are 7 different cells. Had to use the extra bit of rule there for the first time about the cell being simultaneously in a row and column. This is counting 1 in the column, and either 2 or 5 in the row, so it's 3 or 6. That's a weird triple. 3, 5, 6 triple. 1, 7, 9. Oh, 2 must be there. This is a 4, 8, 9 triple. That one can't be 9. So there's no 8 there. We've placed 8 in box 8 somehow. Seems a bit random. These are from 3, 5, 6, and 7. Come on, these circles. Why aren't you doing it? That is 3 or 6, depending on which of these is right. And this one is, yeah, weirdly, the difference is very different. It's the difference between the two possible numbers there is 3, because they're counting away from that one. The difference here is only 1, because this is inside the putative sandwich in this row. That's such an odd thing. Right. There's a 3 here. Oh. Sudoku, where are you, my friend? Why won't you come to my rescue? Well, you have. I just hadn't noticed. Right, this 6 now says there's a red there. So the last red is there. Those 2 reds are 9s. These 2 cells are not 9s and are green. That completes the colouring. This is not a 9. This circle is now known. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in the column, 1 in the row. That's a 7. All the circles are done. All the sandwiches are done. I mean, I know that's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 in some order. The rest is Sudoku. And that makes me feel happy because I kind of know where I am. I'm not Simon. Once it gets down to Sudoku, I'm in happiness place. Maybe not always beast mode, but we do what we can. So, in fact, lately, as soon as I try and enter anything like beast mode, something goes wrong. So I'm going to take it fairly carefully. Got, I can't highlight the right section. 4, 6, 8 triple there. That's not an 8. Oh, but at least I know where I am now. It's been an absolutely intriguing puzzle. Really, really excellent. I mean, well, I was about to say I can't tell you how much I enjoy this sort of puzzle, but I am telling you how much I enjoy this sort of puzzle, so I definitely can. That's a 5, that's an 8, that's a 3, that's a 5, that's a 3. These are all good. I've really been so confident going reasonably quickly. 4, 5, 7 is a triple there. Let's look down this final column. That is a naked 4. 8, 6, meaning it saw all the other Sudoku digits, so there were no alternatives. Oh, this one, I've never filled in the circle. I claimed I'd filled in all the circles. This has become a 5 long ago. It was long ago and it was far away. It was so much better than it is today. 4 and a 7, 4 and a 2, 6, 3, 2. That can't be a 5, so we are just finishing off. As long as there's no mistakes, we're down to the last digit, and there we go. Yes. Okay, that is a brilliant puzzle. I will try and remember to input the solution before you try it, so that you get a tick and being told that it is correct. I'm sure that is correct. That's a brilliant puzzle by Rocky Roa. Greatly enjoyed here. 36 minutes nearly on the timer, but 36 minutes of unadulterated fun. Thank you for watching, and very much hope to see you again soon on the channel. Bye for now.